very subtle. You have to learn the philosophy along with the actual form of the language. Otherwise, it's not going to make any sense. It's not a material language. It's a spiritual language. Sanskrit is eternal. It's the language spoken in the spiritual world and in the planets of the demigods. So by studying Sanskrit, we get so much knowledge, so much background. It's a very deep study in itself. Then there's astrology. Well, I've studied a little bit of astrology, and I can tell you, it totally changes your view of the world. Because then you can see how everyone is acting according to the impulses of their past activities and the reactions of their karma. And you can also see how in the future they may have some opportunity for spiritual advancement. And the combination of these things is very wonderful because it allows you to give expert advice on how to avoid the different pitfalls of material life and take advantage of the opportunities that we have to engage in spiritual life and advance. And then there's rhetoric. Rhetoric means logic and argument. Nyaya Shastra. That how do you form a logical proposition? And what is the difference between ordinary logic and transcendental logic? How do we understand transcendental subject matter? By reason and evidence. So we should be able to think our way through all these different statements in the scriptures. And if not, if we don't understand the logical thing, we're liable to come to some wrong conclusion. So it's very important to study logic. Otherwise, we may be deceived by some rascal into accepting some false conclusion. And then there's vocabulary. Look up your words. I have to be very careful how I speak, because if I was to speak in my natural language, I would use so many words that people don't understand, you see. And this is a big problem for them, because then they won't get what I'm trying to say, and they won't get the benefit either. So I try to speak in very simple language, but even so, some anomaly will slip in. It's one of those $2 words. Anomaly means an unusual or unexpected phenomenon. But you should know what the meaning is of every word that you speak and every word that you hear. Because otherwise, if you don't know the meaning of a word and you hear it, it actually causes a moment of unconsciousness during which we dream that we know the meaning of the word. And then we go back and we act as if we know, but actually we don't know. See? So this is unconsciousness, and naturally it causes us to make mistakes. And guess what the worst culprits are? They're not the big words, because you don't know those words. They're the little words, like as, if, such, that, for, up. You know, all these little words that have lots and lots and lots of little meanings. Because these are the words that specify the relationships between the other words. I always like to use the word up as an example. It's got about 40 definitions. Fill up the tank. What is up? When you fill up the tank, what do you mean? Well, if you look in the dictionary, you'll find it means in or into a state, condition, or position of fullness or completion. Okay? Well, now it makes sense. Right? Fill the tank until it's completely full. Yeah, okay. But to use that word and not really know the meaning, or just try to define it by context, is not good enough. This will gradually build up emotional charge. And then when we hear that word in another context, that emotional charge can come out and then we'll misunderstand and we'll also act inappropriately. So this is a kind of neurosis, it's a kind of mental illness, which is caused by not properly defining words. Now the funny thing is, in very expensive elite schools, they teach this. When you go to Harvard, the first year you go to Harvard, you have to come 2 weeks early because they have a special seminar in how to study. And it's like, if you don't attend this seminar, you are not going to make it through your first semester. You have to attend. So they attend. What do they teach? Look up every single word in the dictionary. Get it defined. Get it clear. That's the secret of how to study. I know, it seems like, what? You know, I know what the words mean. Well, I dare you to take one page out of any book that you think you understand and look up every single word on that page and see what the actual definition of that word is. And I guarantee by the time you do one page like that, you're going to be going, wow, I had no idea all that was there.
Huh.
Because anyone who knows how to write, or anyone who has literary qualifications, like I was an editor in the BBT on Srila Prabhupada's books, and that was my job, that was my service, to actually look up every single word on the page and make sure the word was used properly according to grammatical convention and so on and so forth. Just in case, you know, because Srila Prabhupada, his mother tongue is Bengali, and so sometimes he would use some awkward constructions, and so that was my job to go through and flag those, and then the senior editor would take it up with Srila Prabhupada and they would straighten it out. So in other words, I actually sat there. First I would read the words into a tape recorder. So one at a time, like, my Lord Govinda, comma, the goddess of learning is decorated with 14 kinds of every word like that. And then I would listen to one word, look it up in the dictionary, see how it was in the context on the page, and then I go to the next word, look it up, make sure every single word. So I got such a deep understanding of Prabhupada's books by doing this. Right? It's like I could easily know, I immediately know when I would hear someone speak if they actually knew this philosophy or not. You know, and this is what got me going on this, and I teach all my students to do this, and it took me over a year. No, in some cases it's taken me 2 or 3 years to get my students to actually do it. Because nobody wants to believe that they don't know what the words mean. But if you do it, if you sit down with the dictionary and you look, you'll see you actually don't know what they mean. So how can you get education? How can you get knowledge if the very words in which that knowledge is given, you don't understand the meaning? It's not possible. But if you speculate some meaning, then you can never go beyond the knowledge that you've already got. See? And this is what happens with most people. So, Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, does not require any education, but he gives a chance to the goddess of learning to serve him. Being self-sufficient, Kṛṣṇa does not require the service of any living entity, although he has many devotees. It is because Kṛṣṇa is so kind and merciful that he gives everyone the opportunity to serve him, as though he required the service of his devotees. Regarding his moral principles, it is stated in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam that Kṛṣṇa is ruling over Vrindavan as death personified to the thieves, as pleasing bliss to the pious, as the most beautiful Cupid to the young girls, and as the most munificent personality to the poor men. He is as refreshing as the full moon to his friends, and to his opponents he is the annihilating fire generated from Lord Shiva. Kṛṣṇa is therefore the most perfect moralist in his reciprocal dealings with different kinds of persons. When he is death personified to the thieves, It is not that he is without moral principles or that he is cruel. He is still kind, because to punish thieves with death is to exhibit the highest quality of moral principles. In Bhagavad-gītā also, Kṛṣṇa says that he deals with different kinds of persons according to their dealings with him. Krishna's dealings with devotees and with non-devotees, although different, are equally good. Because Krishna is all good, his dealings with everyone are always good. But this is the other part of education, the moral side of education. If a person goes through so many years of education and they still don't display a good character, that means their education was useless. And we see this. So many big college professors and big authorities